Hi, Ms. Rhodes.
Hi, Miss Rhodes. Oh, they're still both connecting the audio. I have never done the breakout rooms. I need to figure that out because I'm going to have to do it next week for diversity and inclusion.
Oh, it's not that hard.
And I've never done polls. And so I'll need to figure that out too.
Mhm.
Looks like I may jump off real quick and call Miss Jones because it seems like she may be having issues.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Smith. How are you?
Oh, I feel pretty good. Face still kind of swollen.
Why is your face swollen?
I had 4 teeth pulled Tuesday.
Got a fight? No. Someone was gonna take something out of her cart.
It'll go
Good morning,
down. It
Miss.
always swell when I have teeth pulled.
Okay. Good morning, Miss Rhodes. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good.
Man, those tea
Thank you
cakes were
so
so
much.
good.
I know. Thank you so much again.
Oh, you're just welcome. Did everybody get one?
Everybody that came, not everybody came by, so we probably still have some. No, we don't? Oh, Melissa
All right,
took them all. Melissa's like, no, we
No,
don't.
we put some of them in the break room, but I did sneak some.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I'm finna eat oatmeal cookie now.
That's not fair because I can't eat no cookies.
Oh.
That's not fair.
I'll eat your cookie for you.
Good morning, Miss Farley.
How are you today?
Great. How are you?
Oh, I'm getting there. I'm not great, but I'm getting there. Okay.
You say you're great?
I said, I'm not great, but I am getting there.
Got it. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Melanie,
Yes, ma'am.
I go
Yes.
get my last shot tomorrow.
Oh, good.
I go to the
I do
South Park.
too. I do
Oh,
too,
goody,
Miss
goody,
Smith.
I feel good though.
Good.
When they get to pulling my teeth, I'm gonna feel better. I told them to pull them out. They said, Miss Smith, we have to put 4 at a time. I said, well, okay.
Well, goodness.
I kept having these abscesses come up.
Yeah, that's
They
no
don't
fun.
play.
Right.
Is Dorothy on the line?
Not Dorothy Farley is, not Dorothy Jones.
Okay, Dorothy Jones not on. Okay.
That's the reason
Yeah.
you get a chance to talk, because Dorothy ain't on.
A hot mess.
Oh, Lord.
Mhm. Yep. Kind of cloudy out there this morning, isn't it?
They said it was like 20% chance of rain.
Mhm. Yeah. That's why I'm staying in.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
In the newsletter, it said something about a drive-through appreciations going on today.
No, that was
Today?
Yeah, I think it's today. Today or tomorrow. I have to pick up my paper to see, but I was looking at it this morning.
There's the Older Americans Month thing in
Yeah.
May. In
It's
May.
in May. In May.
In May?
May
Yes.
21st.
Oh, I think I just saw the 21st and said, oh, it's okay.
Well, she missed her
Okay.
tea cake then.
Huh?
If she didn't come out there too, she missed her tea cake, right?
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
at my house. Huh?
Hi, Miss Henry. Hi, Miss Jackson.
Well, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, I am excellent, thank you. I'm just now stirring around though, so I need to get my coffee.
Okay. Listen. Try to get this on.
Usually everybody is chatty. What's happening?
Yeah, what's going on? I mean, everybody's quiet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait till Dorothy Jones come on. It won't be quiet. She gonna get me.
Leave Miss Jones alone. That's my
Yeah.
buddy. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing this great morning?
Y'all doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm blessed.
Y'all believe it's already Friday? I mean Thursday? I don't know what you're saying Friday. For me, it's Friday.
Oh, that reminds me.
What about that?
Good morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. This is Sybil Palmer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Uh-oh,
Morning.
Hi, Miss Roberts.
Hi.
It's so good to see y'all's faces.
It's nice to see yours too.
There's Dorothy.
Yes.
Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, how you doing?
All right. Hey, Dorothy. I was holding up for you
What's
this
up?
morning.
What's up, everybody?
Dorothy, they was talking about you, but I got your back.
You got
it wasn't no they, it was me, Annie Rose.
you gotta tell
I
me.
got your back. You know I got your back.
I depend on you.
All right.
That Annie Rose is something else.
Yeah, that was me talking about you.
And see, I went to have my vaccine yesterday.
And you missed your ticket.
You gonna have to make me some.
I ain't making you nothing.
Yes, you will. Oh gosh. Where's Gerald Smith?
Huh? She should be on.
Oh, yes, okay.
Good
I thought
morning,
you might have done
boy.
something to her.
I'm here. Here I am.
Oh, okay.
See, I said good morning till you didn't recognize my voice.
Because you know what? That's because that Annie's messing with
Oh, I've
me.
been had this.
I told you I had your back, but since you said I was messing with you, I'm retrieving.
Oh,
That's not
Lord.
fair.
Morning.
Oh, okay.
Good morning.
Hi,
Good
Brenda.
morning.
Morning.
Lord born.
Morning.
Miss
Good
Barnes.
morning.
Hey, Dorothy.
Hey, what's up?
Good morning.
What's
Good
going
morning.
on, everybody?
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Okay, everybody, hold on. Let me just make sure the people on the phone know that we know that they're here. So
I know that's right.
I see Miss Jerlene Smith, Miss Annie Willis, Miss Palmer, Miss Martinez, Miss Barnes, and I just got a couple of more folks that just joined. Miss Smith, Miss Avis Smith, and let me see.
morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Beverly Tiggs.
Hi, Miss Tiggs.
Hi.
Good morning. Betty Henry, Maxine Goodwin.
Hello, Miss Goodwin. We've got you all. You all are on Zoom.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Hi, Miss Gibson, Miss May Gibson. We got you on. Miss Hamlet, good morning.
Good morning.
If you're on Zoom, we can see your names. And some of y'all don't have your cameras on. We would love to see your faces. Maybe.
And remember, if you haven't changed your name, there we go. Miss Kelly's awesome. We remembered.
Rita.
It's Miss Kelly.
Always so hard.
Miss Goodwin, is Miss Hunter with you?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure we give her credit for being here.
You see me, Melanie?
Yes, Miss Greger, how you doing?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there too.
Good.
Good morning, Miss Knighton.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good.
Good. Miss Sasser, are you on with us? I think you're on the fire tablet. Is that you? Can you unmute and let us know?
She good.
Hi, Miss McAfee.
Hello, Melanie.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys this morning?
I'm good. So y'all, I'm gonna upload y'all's dancing videos today.
What?
And we'll have and I'm gonna send out the link so y'all can tell your families to go vote for y'all. I told y'all I want to see your companion to win.
Get out.
Okay. I didn't get in on that.
You didn't get in on the dance. You can still record one from home, Miss Branch. Get your granddaughter to record you dancing to your favorite song.
Oh my.
Melanie.
Yes.
That's probably who will win is Miss Branch.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we need a video. I'll come record you, Miss Branch. I'll come record you. Is that Miss Robinson on camera?
Mm-hmm.
Olivia Holmes. Olivia Holmes reporting.
Hi, Miss Holmes. Good
Hi.
morning.
Morning.
Hi, Miss Williams. Miss Mary Williams.
Good morning.
And don't forget if you're on YouTube to type in your name, so we can pull those names from YouTube.
Good morning.
Oh, I thought we had a meal. Today is Thursday.
Melanie.
Yes.
Do you see where I called in because something I missed dialing into Zoom? I said, "Oh my goodness."
Yes, we did see you. We saw that you couldn't. It looks like it wouldn't let you connect to audio.
That's true. I was trying. I said, well, I don't know what I've done. Maybe I did something incorrectly, but I'm on the phone now. So
I've got you, Miss Henry. We could maybe figure it out a little later. Okay.
okay.
All right. So someone is on a Fire tablet, and I want to make sure that we know who it is so that we give you credit for being here. Is it Miss Sasser? Are you on?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was you.
Yeah, well, I'm screwing up.
Okay. Right. We've got a couple of guest ladies that are in the room with us. And so we're going to get started here in just a second. I want to make sure we give a couple of more people time to join. Hi, Ms. Arts. Hi, Ms. Arts.
This is Miss Clinton. This is Leila McClinton.
Melody.
Hi, Miss McClinton. We got you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you give me
Miss Matthews, were you saying something?
No, ma'am. Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
I was, can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Brooks.
Okay, I need the meeting ID. I still cannot get in. I'm on my phone, but I want to get it on the computer.
The meeting ID?
For the computer, yes, for Zoom.
Ms. Brooks, why don't you call me after our meeting and you and I can walk through it?
Okay, I usually can do it okay, but the one that you give me on the internet, when I put the passcode in SCP, it won't let me in. It just says
yeah. Okay, I know what's wrong. Okay.
Okay, all right. I'll try to call. I can't call you after today because I'm going right into another.
Just call me when you get a chance.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started, everyone. And so if you've got your TV on in the background, if you could turn it down just so we can make sure we don't get any background noise, or you can mute yourself. I don't want to have to mute everyone because I think the last time we met, we did that and then people couldn't unmute, and I was afraid that you all wouldn't be able to unmute and ask questions if you had them. So I don't want to have to mute everyone. So if you're on the phone, you can mute yourself by hitting *6. If you're on Zoom, you can mute yourself by tapping your screen and touching the microphone icon, okay?
All right.
And then before we get started, I just want to make sure the folks who just dialed in know that we've got them. Ms. Cornell, I see you're here.
Okay.
Miss Juanita Kelly, I see that you're here.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I lost my connection on my computer.
Miss Donaldson, yes, we've got you, Miss Donaldson. Thank y'all for joining us this morning.
Miss Kelly, you got me?
Yes, we've got you, Miss. We can see you, Miss Kelly.
Okay.
Is that Sunshine President on the line?
No, I don't think she's here right now.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, there she is. Yes, she is. Miss Mabry's here.
I heard Miss.
Well, good. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am excellent. How about yourself?
I'm good, Miss Jean. Don't you start nothing with me this morning, woman.
I'll be nice.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, yes, please be nice. We've got guests in the room.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So if everybody can mute their phone, everybody remembers how to mute it. Tap your screen and then tap the microphone.
And if you dialed in and you're listening, hit *6 on your phone and that will mute you. That will also unmute you if you want to ask a question or talk.
Before I go to mute, is Miss Rose on the phone?
Annie
Yes.
Rose?
Rosetta.
I am. Here I am,
Rosetta.
Phoebe.
Miss Anderson, you mean Miss Roselia?
Roselia.
No, she's not on the line right now, I don't believe. Miss Bates,
Okay.
I see that you're here.
Yes,
Thanks for joining us.
thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
All right, ladies. We're gonna go ahead and get this
Melanie,
meeting going.
Yes, Miss Watson, we see you here. Sorry, Melissa.
Oh, you're fine. I think we got one more and then we'll start.
Yeah, I think that's
you're
Miss.
supposed to be on the meeting.
All right. So if you haven't muted your phone, please do so.
I'll wait for you.
Remember, tap your screen and tap the mute the microphone to mute your phone. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So today is April 22nd, and this is, I don't even know which in-service this is now, but I'm glad that y'all are here with us. Before we start, we like to take a moment of silence, just so that we can pay respects to Miss Stewart, who passed away a week and a half ago. So we just want to kind of pay respects to a loving person that was here for us and one of our comrades. So we can go ahead and bow our heads and take a moment of silence. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I know she does as well. So thank you again. We have our dance off is going to be entering. The entries are going to be closing on May 3rd. So that is May 3rd at 11:45. Sorry, I didn't put May 3rd, but it's 11:45 on May 3rd. So those that are still wanting to enter those dance contests, you know, Melanie really wants this prize for us, so we got to give it to her. So we want to make sure that we enter everybody's dancing. If you want, you can go to our website. Again, it tells you how to enter and what you need to do that. Again, just go ahead and you can enter your solo dance, couple dances, group dance, however you choose to do it. But there's just wanted you to remember that we have that dance off until May 3rd is the last day.
Hello?
Your UT Southwestern surveys, do not forget to mail those in. They sent you the envelope that it came in. Please send those back in if you have not done so thus far. You don't have to just put them in the mail. They're ready postage, ready to go. Weekly coffee chats. We've been dwindling on our chats. We used to have a lot of people showing up on our weekly coffee chats. And now, you know, we're trying to get it back up and going. We are coming up with the topic so everybody can kind of pitch in their thoughts and everything. So it's every Friday from 10 to 11. Again, weekly coffee chats. Please join us. It's just kind of free. Everybody can just be themselves and not really have agenda. Just want to have fun talking to everybody.
Can I jump in here, Melissa, and say
Yes,
something?
ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
y'all, I know when some of you all came into the office on Tuesday, one of the biggest joys was to be able to see other folks that you hadn't seen in a while and spend some time chatting with them and just catching up and seeing how they were doing. And so this is the perfect time or opportunity for you all to do that on a weekly basis. It's just like today. You would either dial in to the Zoom or click on the link and join, and it's just time to chat and catch up and enjoy some time to see how folks are doing who you haven't had a chance to speak to in a while. And so we don't have a real agenda. Like Melissa said, we may have a topic to help move the discussion forward, but it's really just time for you all to spend with one another. So encourage you all to get on and spend some time with your fellow companions.
Melanie.
Thank you.
In your newsletter, you saw that there is another bingo on April 28th. Those that have not received were able to come in on Tuesday to receive their newsletter. Those newsletters will be going out today, so you should be getting those in the mail so that you can have those. Also, the Older American Month is next month in May. We're going to have a drive-through event on May 21st. There's 3 locations. And your newsletter will give you those locations and the times. So again, it's another event for you to participate in. Does anybody have any kind of questions right now before we move on?
Yes, I do.
Okay, remember, raise your hand so I know who.
Yes, I do.
Okay, who is that?
That's Miss Jackson.
Yes, Miss Jackson.
Regarding the last meeting we had, I couldn't get unmuted. So to let you know that the UT Southwest survey doesn't apply to me.
Okay.
I mean, because, I don't do mid. What do you have with the proper name for it? Anyway, I go in to see my doctor.
Okay. So just if you're able to complete that, please do so. All right.
I'm sorry.
For those that can complete it, please do so and mail that in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's not mandatory. It's optional. So if it doesn't apply to you, then you don't worry about having to send it in.
All right. So we're going to have a guest speaker today, which is great. And I want to introduce Ms. Shannon Gore, which is the director of our Caregiver Support Program. And I would like to turn that over to her.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Melanie and Constance, for having me and allowing me to be a part of this wonderful program. I will introduce the speaker. Mrs. Amelia Borland is an occupational therapist who has been working in fall prevention and caregiver training for 10 years. She specializes in comprehensive transfer training and fall prevention programs to keep older adults living as safely and independently as possible. She uses education to empower others. Her mission is to improve safety and the quality of life of older adults and their caregivers. So with that being said, I will hand the floor to you, Ms. Amelia, and we are happy to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to speak with this group. It's always fun to log on and people are talking and laughing, and this is always so much more fun and beneficial when people want to participate and ask questions and share stories. So I have a presentation I'm gonna pull up for everyone. And if you're on the phone and you can't see it, don't worry. I'll go over everything that's on the slides. You don't have to actually see it. It's honestly just more to like keep me from just rambling incoherently. It keeps me on track. But if you have questions or you want to like stop me for a second and ask something or have a comment, please do. This is for you all and should be beneficial to you. So if you need to, stop me. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. For those who can see it, like I said, if you can't, don't worry. I'll go over everything on the slides. Okay, so this presentation is really about fall prevention and things in a picture kind of way. And we'll go over what that means. But I really want to give you all some good facts that you can use, some good principles and strategies that you need and you can use to help stop falls from happening in the first place, to help increase independence, to have a high long-term quality of life, both for y'all and of course anyone that you guys are caring for. Shannon already introduced me, so we won't go over this too much. I am an occupational therapist. I also have my executive certificate in home modifications from USC's Leonard Davis School of Gerontology. I'm a former educator at Texas Women's University, Master of Occupational Therapy program, published author, expert in fall prevention, and owner of the organization Higher Standards Caregiver Training. So, but enough of that stuff. Real quick, this is not a substitute for actual intervention with a therapist or other healthcare professional. So if as we're going through this presentation, you identify something that you think is a medical need that you think needs to be intervened in, definitely reach out to the appropriate provider to make sure that you or whoever you are caring for gets help that the help that they need from the appropriate licensed provider, because this is really just for educational purposes. Okay, so we're going to start off with a case study, a story, and then we're going to come back to it in the end after we go through sort of what this big picture of fall prevention really looks like. So I want you to keep in mind as we go through this story of, he's an 85-year-old gentleman. This was a real person that I worked with. He had kind of mid-stage dementia. His safety awareness was not very good at that point in time. He had decreased visual scanning, which just is a fancy way of saying, you know, he wasn't looking around in his environment. He wasn't noticing. Not able to learn new things anymore at that point in his dementia progression. He was starting to become very anxious, depressed, having some aggressive outbursts. He had lost his normal routines and activities. And his caregivers, he had 24-hour care, but they were trying to prevent him from falling. And their main strategy at that time was to try and keep him confined in his wheelchair. But it wasn't working. He was still falling about 2 or 3 times a week, even despite the fact that he had 24-hour caregivers. So we'll go over kind of what the solutions were to that at the end of the presentation, after y'all have had some time to think about it, and we go over what these essential ingredients in fall prevention really are. The first, and honestly, maybe the most essential ingredient is, of course, awareness of the possible consequences of a fall, but more important, a desire to act. You can have all of the information and all of the tools in the world, but if you don't act on it and do the things that need to be done to prevent that fall, it won't matter. So a desire to act is absolutely essential. We're going to be talking about the environment and its role in fall prevention. We call it environment friend and foe, because we can make changes in the environment that can make things more safe. And certainly there can be things in the environment that can make things less safe.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking about activities and how we do what we do can either make our fall risk higher or make it lower. And we're going to be talking about how people, of course, are an important part of this equation. So what are the physical characteristics, the sensory characteristics, and the cognitive characteristics of people that impact fall risk? Some goals that I want you to try and take away from this is, by the end of the session, I'd like to be able to kind of have an idea of at least 2 of the commonly held myths about fall. I want you to be able to name at least 3 potential consequences of falling that you can use to motivate yourself, motivate others, make proactive decisions to reduce falls. The best way to avoid the costs associated with falling is to prevent it in the first place. And there's a lot we can do to do that. It sounds like someone's got maybe a couple of microphones on.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them off.
Okay. I know that's a hard issue. There we go. Okay. All right, so I want you to be able to think of at least 3 common areas in the home that are high risk for falls, and understand some things that we can do about those areas. Kind of be thinking about the ways in which behaviors, activities, and habits can impact your fall risk or the fall risk of others. I want you to be able to identify at least 3 red flag behaviors for fall risk that you were unsure about or maybe you weren't aware of before. And also think about what are 3 different aspects of a person's physical, cognitive, or sensory characteristics that can affect their fall risk that maybe you weren't previously aware of. And overall, most importantly, I want you to have greater confidence in seeing those connections between people, their environment, and the activities that they do, and how they do them, and how that impacts their overall safety or lack of safety when it comes to falls. We're going to start off with what seems like a kind of silly thing to do, which is defining a fall. I mean, we can all definitely, I think, agree that anytime someone ends up on the ground and they didn't intend to end up there, that's a fall. But I like to try to get people to think of falling a little bit more broadly. And that's because when we kind of expand the way that we're thinking of what counts as a fall, it actually allows us to jump in and make changes before someone ends up on the floor and has a serious injury. So we're going to define a fall here as any uncontrolled descent to any surface. So you can think about that as if you are helping someone, or if you yourself kind of fall the last bit of the way into a chair or onto a bed, that's, in many ways, that is technically a fall. You're landing on a surface where you're not getting hurt, or that person is landing on a surface where they're not getting hurt, but that's not a controlled descent. That's a good indication that it's time to maybe start doing some things differently and take some action now. Okay, so what are the myths about falls? A lot of people think falls are just a part of getting old. They're inherently related to age, and once you get old, you fall and there's nothing you can do about it. That is absolutely not true. Another myth, that it's okay if someone's falling as long as the person hasn't been getting hurt. It is only a matter of time. If someone is having repeated falls, it's only a matter of time till they have an injury from a fall. So it's definitely not okay. We got to do something about it. Another myth, the best thing to do to prevent falls is to immobilize a person, to keep them from getting up and moving around. That's definitely not what we want to do to prevent falls. And of course, the most common myth is that it's never going to happen to me, never going to happen to my loved one. I'm not planning to fall. I will tell you right now, I've never worked with anyone in any setting that planned to have a fall. It's just not something that we plan for or that we think about, but we do need to plan to be safe and prevent those falls, because otherwise, they do and they will happen. Okay, so why are falls happening? So here are all the reasons why folks fall. There could be a hazard in the environment. There might be a poor fit between that person's environment and the person themselves. Maybe the something about the layout of the home or the furniture or the flooring or something doesn't fit well with the skill set or capabilities of the person. Maybe someone has had a change in activity level, and that activity level change leads to changes in the person. It can lead to changes in your strength, in your balance, and even in your cognition, ability to think. Unsafe habits and practices. Those are reasons that folks fall. Sometimes it's because of a new or progressing medical condition, a belief that I won't fall or I haven't been hurt yet during a fall, so it's okay. Nutritional deficiencies and medication issues are very high on the list of things that cause falls. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And of course, sometimes proper physical support is either not provided or available, or the equipment that needs to be used is not available, or it's not being used correctly, and that can lead to falls as well. Some of the financial costs of falls real fast. Average cost for a broken hip for the hospitalization alone is right around $15,000. Average cost of hospitalization for intracranial, so like a brain injury, basically is around $18,000. And that's just for the hospitalization. It doesn't necessarily count the cost of additional rehabilitation in acute, subacute, outpatient home health, or of course the long-term consequences and healthcare costs that are associated with those injuries. We spend nearly $50 billion with a B every year on healthcare due to falls. Of course, there's also the additional cost with the possibility if someone does not recover from an injury to a fall, they might have to leave home, have additional caregivers, or move to a higher level of care somewhere. So just for a couple of examples, the average cost of a private room in a Texas nursing home is over $6,000 a month. And the average cost of assisted living in Texas is about $3,500 a month, plus a la carte charges for any additional services and actual assistance that folks need. In terms of the cost of falls for quality of life, in 2016, according to the CDC, there were over 9 million fall-related injuries and 35,000 fall-related deaths. For people admitted to the hospital with a ground level fall, that just means you fell out of a chair, off a bed, onto the ground. You didn't fall off a roof or something like that. 51% of all of those people admitted to the hospital were discharged to a skilled nursing facility, and 48% of those folks were deceased within 1 year. 1 year after a broken hip, about 50% of people have not yet returned to their prior level of function. And about 22 to 30% of people pass away with 1 year of having a broken hip. So if you need something to motivate you or to help motivate someone else that you are thinking right now, like this person needs to do something about it, you know, those are some kind of scary numbers that you can throw out there. Okay, so let's move on to the environmental risk factors in the home that can often cause falls. So one of the top ones is just clutter, particularly cluttered spaces on the ground where people are walking or trying to move through areas. Clutter can cause trips. It can obscure obstacles, you know, hide things that might be in the way or hazards. Oftentimes for folks who have dementia or other cognitive issues, a lot of clutter creates kind of a lot of visual noise in the environment that can confuse how they're using equipment, different safe movement strategies. It can increase levels of distraction and make it difficult to focus on the task at hand and performing that task safely. Rugs and uneven flooring is another huge one. Even tiny gaps, small gaps, thresholds, slopes can really make it difficult to be more independent. It can make it so mobility devices like walkers, wheelchairs do not work well or don't work safely. And of course, they can cause a trip and fall. You know, even things that we think of as being insignificant can, if you're not lifting your foot up all the way, can easily catch a toe and cause a fall. Unstable surfaces, that's another big one. So chairs that have wheels, unstable furniture that's being used inappropriately for support. So for example, like a night table that that's kind of wobbly, leaning on that as someone's using it for support, that can certainly cause a fall. Using things like towel racks, toilet paper holders, soap dishes, things like that for holding on while doing things in the bathroom versus using a properly secured grab bar. If people are using something that's not actually a grab bar to hold on to in the bathroom, that puts them at a much higher fall risk. Because those things aren't mounted to anything, it's just drywall. They can either come out on their own or cause a fall, or if someone does fall and try and grab onto them, they're just coming out of the fall and can actually make the injury worse. Other environmental risks, slick surfaces, of course, shower and tub, you know, that's the one that obviously comes up. I always recommend as a therapist using those kind of like non-stickers or strips. You can get them for a couple of bucks at hardware stores, Walmart. Those tend to work better than like the rubber mats that folks put down. The reason is because a lot of times those rubber mats, after a little while, they can either get slick themselves, or they come up off of the bottom of the tub, and then they are themselves a tripping hazard. So I recommend those anti-skid strips. They work really great. The trick is definitely to get the bottom of the tub like super clean and let it be totally dry. And then once those go down, they're bomb-proof. They're awesome. Hard flooring, of course, on its own can just be slippery, even on bare feet. So it's important to have the appropriate footwear, you know, not walk around on your hardwoods or your tile in just some socks, but rather make sure that your socks have some grips, or that you're wearing the right kind of footwear that has some grip on it. Outdoor surfaces, of course, can be slick and slippery too. There are different treatments that can go on outdoor surfaces. Certainly being aware of it and just making sure that you have the appropriate footwear on can help as well. Poor lighting is a really big issue for folks, especially as we age and our eyesight changes. So always we want to make sure that, so for example, a lot of times when people fall, it's when they're getting up to use the restroom at night. As we age, that can get more common. So it's always important to make sure that someone has the ability to turn on a light before they get out of bed so that they can see what's going on. We want to make sure that glare is not an issue, particularly when folks have glaucoma, cataracts. Glare can make it very difficult to actually see. So help making sure that that lighting for those folks is a little bit more diffuse, as opposed to just having like a single point of light can be helpful. Surfaces being too high or too low is a big one. For beds, often the problem is that the bed is too high. So if you or someone that you're caring for is sitting on the edge of the bed and your feet don't touch the floor, that's a problem. There's some simple and inexpensive ways to lower beds. You can either use a low profile box spring. So it's just basically a skinny box spring mat that goes underneath the actual itself. Bunky boards are great. They're basically these boards that you can use to replace your box spring. So the box spring is removed. The bunky board goes over the support in the bed frame, and then the actual mattress can just sit on top of that. And that's a great way to kind of lower the height of the bed. And of course, plywood will do the same thing. In a pinch, if the bed is really high and there aren't a lot of other options, of course, folks can remove the bed and put the box spring and the mattress right on top of that too to lower it as well. But like their beds, you know, they want it to look the way that they want it to look. And so bunky board, low profile box spring, and plywood, those are to kind of solve that problem. Toilets often are too low for people. So having an ADA compliant toilet, which just means that it's about 19 inches high. Sometimes that's not high enough for some people too, if they're very tall. Having an elevated toilet seat to make it easier to get off and on the toilet, or just putting a standard bedside commode over the toilet can give a lot more support and make it easier to get up and down. Couches, chairs, recliners, those can all be difficult to get off of if they're very soft, if they're very low, if they don't have armrests, if they rock. So what makes something easier to get up and down from, or safe to get up and down from, is generally that surface is firm, that there are armrests, and that it is stable, meaning that it doesn't have wheels and it doesn't rock. Those are more safe surfaces and easy surfaces to get up and down from. Let's talk a little bit more about some specific examples about how the environment impacts safety and independence in like a very concrete sort of way. So I'll give you an example of a rolling chair versus a chair without wheels. And you all can feel free to chime in, or you can, just think about this. But what happens if you stand up from a rolling chair versus a chair that has no wheels?
Gonna fall.
You could fall. It takes a lot more It takes a lot more strength and stability to stand up from a chair that might roll away from you, right?
Right.
And like the last thing you want, or even sit down, the last thing you want is to go to sit, that chair rolls away, the chair goes to the other side of the room and your bottom ends up on the floor. That's no good either, right? So and it's just a matter of one chair being more stable than another. And you can think about how as strength and balance kind of might decrease in a person, how those effects become even more pronounced. Okay, so we're going to move on to how behaviors and activities and habits also can influence fall risk. So what we do or what we don't do creates change in our bodies, and it creates change in our brains. Movement and activity. So if we're doing things, you know, and it doesn't have to be that you're going out and doing exercise or running a mile or anything like that. Just staying engaged in regular activities that are meaningful helps people to maintain their strength, maintain their balance, maintain their body's sense of where they are in space. We call those senses proprioception and vestibular input. And it also helps you keep a faster reaction time, right? So allowing your reflexes basically to work better. If you don't use them, they'll go away. A sedentary lifestyle, you know, just sitting around kind of being a couch potato, a lack of movement will lead to effects. So it'll lead to a loss of physical wellness and even a loss of cognitive structures and functions that are required for good balance. So this stuff doesn't just affect our bodies, it affects our brains and the health of our brains as well. So the moral of the story of that is use it or lose it. That's a real thing. We really do have to do that. But just staying engaged is not necessarily the whole picture there, because it's also about how we are doing what we are doing that either increases or decreases our fall risk. So a couple of specific examples. If someone is leaning on a chair or a table to get into and out of bed, you know, that table, that chair, they might not be the most stable things in the world that could be leaned on. That's going to lead to an increased fall risk. Not just because someone falls on that table or that chair, the table or the chair probably will hold them. But think about if you're leaning on the back of a chair and you're relying on it, and that chair tips, you're going to go down. Versus if you're using a device like a properly installed bed rail or a bed cane. Those are both really inexpensive and reliable devices that just go right onto existing beds. That is a much lower risk because now you have the support that you need to actually get in and out of bed safely. And the bed rail or the bed cane, that should be bomb-proof in there. If you need to lean on it, it's actually going to be there for you. It's not going down. Think about the different risk factor between if someone stands up to put on their socks, you know, puts on their socks in a standing position versus sitting down on a chair. Some of us are, what I have learned as an occupational therapist is that everyone does things differently. There is not one set way of doing something, and there's not one right way to do something, but we have to be mindful of how our habits and the way that we are accomplishing our activities is either making us safe or less safe. And we all do this. You know, I myself, the other day, I climbed up on a counter to get something out of a high cabinet. And I'm sitting there thinking like, Amelia, you're an occupational therapist. You know, this is not safe. Why are you doing this? Right? So we all have to be in charge of making sure that we're monitoring our decisions to make sure we're doing things in the safest way possible. Another example, locking wheelchair brakes or turning off the power to a power scooter or a power wheelchair makes it much safer than if someone leaves their brakes on their wheelchair unlocked or leaving the power on to that power scooter or power wheelchair. So, you know, just thinking about how our habits influence our fall risk. And of course, how, if you're helping someone with transfers, how you and that person are positioned during that transfer, or how the equipment is positioned, definitely increases the safety of the transfer and the ease of it as well. Some other issues related to behavior and activities. We talked a little bit about medication before. Are medications properly managed? And I'm not talking about from a medical perspective. I'm talking about sometimes your doctor tells you to do something or take a certain medication, or a person to take a certain medication, but we don't always ask all the questions. Can this person actually take this medication as directed? Can they physically open the bottle? Are they going to be able to remember to take that medication as directed? Does this person have access to the necessary medications? Is there even a pharmacy nearby that is going to allow someone to get the medications that they need? Does this person know how to communicate with their physician about medication questions and concerns? You know, do we advocate for ourselves and ask questions when we're not sure why something is being prescribed or when we should take it, etc.? Do habits, routines, and behaviors support good nutrition? This is another huge one because, again, nutrition as well as medication management, that's a big source of falls that are really truly preventable. So what are this person's eating habits? You know, can they prepare food safely, physically? Do they have the ability to prepare food safely? Does their environment support their ability to prepare food safely? Do their eating habits support good nutrition? Can they meal plan and go shopping? Do they need assistance with that? Does their community even allow them to access nutritious food? You know, when we talk about Dallas, we have a huge food desert problem. So how are we helping people to access the nutritious food that they need in order to help prevent fall risk? Some red flag behaviors that are good for y'all to be aware of so that you can identify like, something probably needs to be done here. Nesting. Nesting is basically where someone kind of picks a spot in their house and they put all the things that they need around them in one area that they can kind of reach from a seated position, and so that they don't have to get up. A lot of times people are doing that. Folks do that because they're afraid of falling. And that's a big red flag warning that someone's fall risk is already high or is about to dramatically increase. Folks holding on to furniture or walls when they're walking is an indication that fall risk is increasing. As we talked about earlier, holding on to things like towel racks, soap dishes, toilet paper holders in the restroom or the shower. You know, if people are reaching for support, and especially if those support, the support available isn't as kind of bomb-proof as it really needs to be, that's a really high increased fall risk. People placing their hands on their thighs to kind of push themselves up when they stand. So sort of like walking their hands up their legs in order to push themselves into a standing position is an indication that fall risk is increasing. Falling the last bit of the way into the bed or the chair, you know, kind of plopping down in versus having a slowly controlled descent. Grabbing onto unsecured items or objects in order to come to a stand. If someone's step size is getting smaller, if it seems like they're kind of shuffling when walking or not picking their feet up, that's another sign that fall risk is increasing. Folks having to come to rock several times, you know, like 1, 2, 3 before they push up to a stand is a sign that fall risk is increasing. And of course, if someone gets stuck on low or cushioned surfaces, they're unable to get up without assistance when they're sitting in that recliner, when they're sitting on that couch. If their bed is really low, that can also be a sign of increased fall risk. Some ways to decrease that fall risk is, of course, to increase movement and activity. And we don't want to do that just, you know, necessarily by throwing people into exercise programs that they don't necessarily want to do. It's really about how do we integrate valued or necessary activities into a regular routine. So, you know, if you're seeing anything in this presentation that relates to yourself or relates to someone that you love or that you care for, you know, encouraging yourself, another person to kind of return to that regular routine and those valued activities can be helpful. Of course, so long as those activities can be engaged in safely. We want to make sure that environments are arranged to encourage safety and frequency of activity performance. So, you know, if let's say you have a loved one who has dementia and you want to encourage, but they used to love to knit. You want to encourage them to be knitting. Put the knitting where they can see it. And they're going to be much more likely to continue to engage in that activity versus if it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. We want to make sure that we're retraining, adapting, modifying the way activities are performed so that they're being performed safely. So if the habit is to stand up and put socks on, then maybe just modifying that, sitting down to put the socks on, and thereby greatly decreasing fall risk. Sometimes that can require professional intervention, but sometimes it's just common sense too. Providing supportive supervision for safety, you know, just to make sure that folks who maybe are not able to make the most safe decisions at this point in their life anymore, just providing supervision for them so that you can assist them with those good decisions. Helping to rehabilitate lost or weakened skills that lead to these risky behaviors in the first place can absolutely be done, but it does require professional intervention, usually from either a physical or occupational therapist. And providing supportive equipment and training can help as well. But again, it does require professional intervention, usually from a physical or occupational therapist. Okay, so a little bit about the physical, sensory, cognitive characteristics that affect fall risk. We're not going to go super deep into this here because it is more stuff that really, truly often needs to be addressed by a healthcare professional, but they're good things for y'all to be on the lookout and be aware of so that you can advocate for yourself. You can advocate for your loved ones, for anyone that you're caring for, to make sure they're getting what they need. So the vestibular system is an important system in your body that helps you maintain your balance. It's the part of your balance system that's in your inner ear, and it tells you how fast you're moving and where your head is in space. Proprioception, that's the sensory system that is in your joints that tells you the position of your body and where it is in space. Vision, of course, plays an important role in helping to put all the pieces of what our body is telling us it's doing, what is in the environment, and how we're moving. It helps put all those pieces together. Sensation is important for balance, particularly in the feet. You know, if y'all know anyone who has neuropathy in their feet, it can definitely impact balance. Muscular strength, of course, impacts balance. That's what we most commonly think of. Motor coordination, so you know how well you can coordinate your movements, and range of motion as well. So how far your joints move, basically. Some cognitive characteristics that impact fall risk. Certainly attention, the ability to pay attention to either tasks or the environment in a sustained way. Going right along with that, how distractible someone is can certainly increase fall risk. If someone is oriented or not to their environment, that can impact their fall risk. Their ability to pay visual attention to things. That just means, like, you know, how long if something is relevant in your environment that you need to notice, are you able to maintain visual attention on that thing that you need to notice? Memory, short-term and working, and that really goes along with folks' ability to retain new learning or their ability to acquire new learning in the first place to learn safer skills. If someone has a poor ability to adapt to new environments or unfamiliar circumstances, then that's going to increase fall risk. And that's, of course, a reason why we want to try to keep things as familiar as possible for folks who might have those issues. Some of those things, obviously, that I listed can be changed and made better, and some can't. And again, you really do kind of need a licensed healthcare professional in order to make that determination. But because so many of those things maybe can't always be changed, or they can't be fixed or made exactly the way they were before. That's why we have to think about the environment and its safety and the way that we're performing activities. That's why those two aspects of fall prevention are so powerful for people, and really important to think about. We can't just be thinking about the physical characteristics of the person. We have to be thinking about how they're doing, what they're doing, and where they're doing it. The best ways to reduce falls, regardless of personal characteristics, is by addressing that big picture, the person, the environment, and the activities that they're performing in that environment. So we're going to go back to that case study that we talked about in the beginning now. So why do fall prevention plans need to cover this big picture? And if you recall, we had this 85-year-old gentleman, mid-stage dementia, poor safety awareness, starting to have some issues with agitation, falling 2 to 3 times a week, despite having caregivers with him all the time. He lost his normal routines. No one was happy. No one was happy in this situation. So what we ended up doing was just some real simple home modifications to remove tripping hazards, to bring visual attention to the items that he needed to be using for safety, and to help him actually participate more in his own care. Got rid of that wheelchair and replaced it with appropriate support when he was up and walking. Did a lot of just training and retraining of self-care activities. And all that means is just doing the activity over and over and over again to kind of reinforce that habit and routine. So it wasn't something that he had to think about. He could just do it automatically. We did some adapting of some previously valued activities so that he could participate in them again and get him back on a normal routine, so that he could naturally implement those activities in order to help maintain his balance, and slow actually his cognitive decline, and most importantly, increase his quality of life, and the quality of life of the folks who were caring for him. And of course, caregiver training was a huge part of all of that too. The outcome of those interventions were he was able to return to his self-care routine with supervision. He didn't need physical assistance anymore. He was able to move through his daily routine with cues. So he still needed help, but it was more along the lines of helping him to know what to do when, with different kinds of cues. His interactions with his caregivers and family were increasingly calm, increasingly positive. It really took a lot of the stress off of his caregiver family, and his falls afterwards were actually reduced to 0. So good story, good outcome. And that's really why looking at that big picture and being so comprehensive is so important. If you have questions, all my contact information, you can shoot me an email, you can give me a call. If ever there's anything that I can do for you, if you have questions, you need resources, anything that I can do at all. Here are I know everyone always loves the reference page. That's the part everyone just waits for. Not really, no one wants to see this, but here are the references for all of that data and the statistics that I went over. And then there's my contact information. I'll leave that up for a second. And then I will also put all that info into the chat so that you guys can have it there as well. And so you don't have to keep looking at my PowerPoint presentation for the rest of the time. Any questions or stories or anything like that y'all want to share?
So if anyone wants to share, unmute yourself, or if you're dialed in on your phone, hit *6 to ask Amelia any questions you all may have or share comments.
I see someone
Melanie
put in the chat pets. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I had a fall this past week.
Oh no.
What happened is I had showered in the bathroom and I got out and I was still wet and I got the floor wet. And I went over to the sink, and before I could get over there, I had fell.
And that's definitely a common scenario. So, what are your thoughts on what you could do to help prevent that in the future?
Well, what I have did is I bought some strip tape that have stick on each side. And I put it on each edge of the rug, and I put
Yeah.
it, and I put it back down. Feel safer now.
So when you got out of the shower, it sounds like you have a rug there, like a bath mat.
Yes.
But you were still a little bit wet when you stepped off of it. And then that's when you slipped.
Yes. Yes. But the rug wasn't sturdy either.
Yeah. I think you pointed out two really awesome things there, Beverly. One is making sure if you do have a bath mat or a rug, it absolutely needs to either have a rubber backing or be secured to the floor. You know, a lot of those bath mats, or maybe even just a towel you might throw down on the ground, they can be slippery in and of themselves, or they can get bunched up underneath your feet, and then it's easy to catch a toe and go down on them. So you did so good making sure that that was secured. The other thing that sometimes can be helpful too is, you know, and I don't know what your bathroom setup is like, but if you have room to, or if there's like, if your bath mat is right next to your toilet or something like that, if there's room for somewhere right after you get out of the shower, out of the tub, and you're kind of drying off and everything, to sit down somewhere safe and finish drying your legs and your feet and everything before you step off that bath mat. That, and of course, you know, and get your, you know, make sure there's no water dripping out of your hair or anything. That can really help with that too. Anytime I've ever done bathing with anyone as an occupational therapist, I'm pretty over the top actually about making sure people are completely dry before I get them out of that area. And that's exactly why. It takes a little bit extra time, but it's better than having a fall. Are you okay?
Yes, I am.
I'm so glad.
I just was thinking that, you know, like I said, I would, I don't know if I had not stepped out of the shower and onto that floor, and I think one of the ideas that you gave me was that I should dry off before I get out of the shower. Just take time to dry off.
Yeah, definitely. You want to always keep in mind that to dry your feet, you know, you don't want to be like standing up on one leg trying to dry your feet and everything like that. So it can be helpful to have a shower chair or another safe kind of seating surface in the shower so that you can get fully dry before you get out. But absolutely, that's a great way to avoid that problem of the floor getting slippery and wet.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Does anybody else have questions or comments for Amelia? Again, if you're on the phone, you can hit *6 to unmute yourself. Ms. Henry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to ask, what was the mat again? Because I have 2 or 3 mats, but they crinkle up, and I did pay pretty good for them, but they're not foaming. I don't know. What, do you have a specific mat you can put in the shower?
So are you talking about like a mat to put inside the actual shower or the tub to keep from slipping in there?
My tub, yes. Because you mentioned something, you said it was about a couple of dollars.
Yeah. So I usually don't recommend mats specifically at all. Instead, what I generally recommend are these like non-skid strips or stickers.
I can't hear. What was that?
So what I usually recommend to folks are using these non-skid strips or stickers. And if in a second here, I'll see if I can actually find real quick, like an example of what they are online, and I'll put a link in the chat for it.
Tell it, I'm not hearing that word you're saying. You sound strips. I get that, but I can't hear the first word.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is anyone else having trouble hearing or understanding what I'm like? Do I sound garbled to anyone else?
I don't know, it was just noise in the background. I don't know why I could hear you, but I hear you. You said strip, and I was trying to get the name of it.
I think it's because we have so many of us probably have our mics back on because we hear a lot of background feed.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I'll do is give me just a second here and I will I'll see if I can find a product example. There's not like one specific product or brand that I would endorse for this. It's more, you know, I don't think that one is necessarily better than another. But basically like there are these anti-skid stickers that go down in the bottom of the tub and they don't come up or fold or anything like that. So, but I mean, lots of folks do use those rubber back mats as well.
Yeah, okay. Oh, stickers, okay.
Ms. Bates, did you have a question or any comments?
Well, mine is about the bathroom period, where the cabinets are located right next to the tub and right under the toilet. I stayed with my sister for about 3 months, and I got out of the tub, and when I got out, I hit my head on the corner of that deal, and they had to rush me to out there in DeSoto, out there to the those what do you call them? They're little clinics, and so I had to go there, and I had the biggest knot on my head. And everything, so they did a scan and everything, but I came out okay. But it's really down your those cabinets above these different things when you get out of the shower or tub. That's a real bad thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened, and I'm glad that you ended up okay. I mean, that's honestly, it's another really good example of how the way that our homes and environments are set up, they impact the safety of that place. You know, and of course that depends even how tall you are too. Like how does it work for you versus for your sister there? But I'm glad that you're okay.
And then too, I have a problem because my gait is off, and because of the way my lip bone my bones extend out off of my left leg, out, and I have a bone problem in my legs and stuff, and so my gait be off, and I notice that I just don't walk like I used to, but I'm still walking. That's the main thing. But I'm just, you know, it's different. It's just a funny thing. But I had a stroke in on my left side, a small stroke, and I don't, and that's a part of the part of my problem, I think.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, all of those things definitely impact fall risk. And those kinds of factors are definitely factors that you would probably want to consider, you know, trying to advocate for some additional therapy services if you feel like you need it, you know, talking to your doctor. A lot of times doctors don't honestly think a lot of time to get therapy for people unless it's a doctor who is working in the hospital or they already work in rehab. You know, primary care doctors don't necessarily think of that as an option, and it's not because they, you know, don't value it. It's just they just don't do it all the time. So just by advocating and saying, like, at your doctor's appointment, like, hey, I'm afraid, you know, of falling, or it seems like it's getting a little harder to walk. Do you think you could get me some physical therapy? You know, or I need someone to come take a look at my bathroom. I don't think I need some specific recommendations. I don't think this is safe, or I think I need different equipment. Can you get an occupational therapist out here? You know, and a lot of times you can get home health or outpatient therapy to help address those things before they get worse. But it definitely takes some advocacy on the part of the person being treated, because doctors don't always think of everything.
Yeah.
Avis Smith, I thought I saw you unmute. Did you have a comment or question? If so, press *6 so that we can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. I was just going to share an experience.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, my experience was living by myself, and I was in the bathroom, and I had sit there for several minutes on the commode, and for some reason, I kind of got up real fast, and when I did that, my blood kind of rushed up, and I fell and hit like the lady said, I hit the corner of the sink, and I had this big old knot on my head. I was just wanting to, inform people that sometimes when you are sitting there, you may have to sit there for a minute and let, which is what I do now, is wait before I, get up that fast.
And that's a great point, Avis. To add a little bit to that too, not to get too intimately detailed, but a lot of times after folks have a bowel movement, actually it can sometimes cause blood pressure to drop a little bit as well. So,
really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So take a little extra time.
Oh, really?
Usually that happens when someone has some other things going on in terms of medical conditions, but it does cause, because of the way you are put together inside, when you have a bowel movement, it does reduce pressure that is on your cardiovascular system. So it can cause blood pressure to drop. So take your time, hang out a minute and stand up slowly. And always make sure that you're not feeling dizzy or unbalanced before you try to walk.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Avis.
Wow.
This is Dorothy Forley, and I was just wanted to say, as a fall risk, I saw a lot of things that I'm experiencing that I did not recognize as a fall risk, because I know sometimes they'll ask me when I go to the doctor, do you feel like you're a fall risk? And I'll say no, but then now I think I'm going to have to change it to a yes, because of things that are like holding on to my legs to get up and stuff like that. And also, like in the bathroom, I have had to just, take my time to get up, and I don't have any grab bars or anything near the commode as an assistant to assist me. So I really appreciate this presentation.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that, and that now maybe how that this is something to advocate for yourself about. Also, in that, I put together a resource list for y'all before the presentation that I think went out already, and it has some good resources for organizations that can help do things like install grab bars, fix safety hazards in the home, help provide appropriate medical equipment, things like that. So definitely, take a look at that. Unfortunately, for a lot of those organizations, there can be wait lists for it, but you'd rather at least be on the list to get what you need versus not getting it at all. So take a look. Anyone who is also seeing some issues in themselves with this presentation, and you think like, maybe I could use grab bars, maybe I could use this, maybe I could use that. There are resources on that list that can help you get those things at either low cost or no cost at all.
And you all, that resource list is included with the latest newsletter that you all received. Those of you who came to the office on Tuesday, it's in the newsletter that was in your bag. Those of you who didn't make it to the office on Tuesday, the newsletters are being mailed to you. So you will have that resource list as well.
Y'all, I just put in the chat just an example of those anti-skid strips for the bathtub. Like I said, this is just a random brand that I found on Amazon. It's not necessarily like the one that I always recommend, but it's just an example kind of what I'm talking about. And like I said, you can get those. This one happens to be on Amazon, but you can pick them up at Home Depot, Walmart. A lot of times CVS even carries this kind of thing, so it's pretty readily available.
I have a question for you, Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about, like, you know, when you dry your clothes in the dryer and you put the dryer sheet and it falls out onto the floor? Have you ever slipped on that?
Me personally?
Yes.
Yes, I have actually.
So that's a risk.
That is a risk. That's a good point. And you know, the other thing about those is you can't see them very well. If
you cannot.
If your floors are light, it's really hard to see those. And they're super slippery. So that's a good point too. Just and you know what? It's just a great example of like being aware of your environment, because you don't necessarily need a physical risk factor in order to have a fall. You could slip on a dryer sheet. This is an embarrassing story. I fell out of my car in front of an entire fire department and my children's daycare, which were all lined up on the street for a fire drill a few years ago, because I caught my foot in my purse. Like, you know, I was fine. Nothing hurt but my pride. But it just goes to show, like, we've got to be aware of what is going on around us to help keep ourselves safe.
That's how I fell about, I guess a month ago. I tripped. My foot got caught in the strap of one of my bags. I set it on the ground, and my foot got caught as I went to turn around, and I couldn't break my fall. And I don't know if I got a bone in my knee that's moving around or a rock. I don't know which one, but I'm going to the doctor and get it x-rayed.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad.
Wanted to comment about, I put the note in there about pets in the comments, because I have, and when you were going through the risk factors, I thought, dang it, I got almost all of them. But but I have 2 dogs, and I have stairs in my home, so I have to make sure they always want to go down the stairs with me when I'm going down the stairs. I let them go down the stairs first and then come down, because they will trip. And I used to walk both at the same time. I can't do that anymore because they pull, and I've fallen a couple of times with them trying to walk together. So I have to walk them one at a time now. And make sure I have good tennis shoes on when I walk them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. That should have been in the presentation. Pets definitely can be big dogs, little dogs, cats. You know, little dogs and cats can get all up in your feet and trip you without seeing it. Big dogs, of course, can jump and pull. So definitely, I always, for folks who have smaller animals, particularly anyone who might have any vision issues, I usually recommend, like, put a bell on that dog, you know, so you know it's there. At least you can hear it coming. And for big dogs, you know, having that dog be really well trained makes a difference for sure. You could try, this isn't any expertise as a therapist. This is just me as a dog owner who has a big dog. Have you ever heard of a Halti?
No, I don't think so.
So I have a Great Dane. She's a big girl. And you know, she could run away with me if she wanted to. So we have this, the way we walk her is it looks like a muzzle, but it's not. It goes over her face and her head. So I have control of her head the whole time. She doesn't pull at all. So that could be something to look into to try and keep your dogs from pulling you, because you're right, that definitely that's risky for sure.
Oh, thank you.
I'll put that. It's Haltie, Halti.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, well, Amelia, thank you so much for this information. It is very informative and helpful, and we appreciate your time and sharing with us so that we can, everyone on the call can be safer and know their fall risk. And thank you, Ms. all of you for sharing your experiences, and just appreciate your time, Amelia. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It really is a privilege to be here speaking with this group of folks. I know from by hearing many wonderful things about you all that you are an outstanding group of people and really committed to serving others, and it's a privilege to talk with you all today. So thank you for letting me join you, and thank you all for sharing your stories. We learn so much from each other all the time. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
Thank
ladies,
you.
we just have one more slide to share. And let me get that going.
Melissa, you mind if I set up the slide?
Go ahead. Yeah, well, I already had it clicked onto here.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I think Mr. Jones is on here. Just wanted to say, let you all know that this week is National Volunteer Week, and this month is National Volunteer Appreciation Month. So we at the Senior Source just wanted to send you all a quick little, we created a video just to say how much we appreciate you and to say thank you for all of the years of service, the support for our communities, and everything that you do day in and day out to help improve the lives of others. We just want to appreciate you and thank you.
That is so cute. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That is so great. Him and him. Yes, sir. Front office.
So again, we just want to thank you for everything that you do for us. Without you, we really wouldn't be able to have a program, and we love you all for doing everything you do to support us and your clients. They're the ones that love you the most.
Yes.
And
We
thank
love
you
you
all
all
for
too.
making it possible for us.
Thank y'all. That was so sweet.
Thank
Yes,
you very
sir.
much. May I ask Melanie a quick question?
I have a question.
Melanie,
Go ahead, Ms. Goodwin.
Melanie or Constance. I attended the focus group yesterday. I wanted to know if that go on my timesheet.
Which focus group are you referring to?
It was about transportation.
Let one of
From
us
Noel
follow up with
Field.
you after the call.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
Ms. Jackson,
have-
Ms. Jean Jackson, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. My companion is about to drive me crazy. She want to know when are we coming back.
I'm sure many of you have that same scenario playing
Yes.
out. I still don't have a date, Ms. Jackson,
No
but
timeline.
again, hopefully soon. one of the things we were asking everyone who came to the office on Tuesday, those of you who did not come to the office, we will be asking you as well about your vaccination status. And then we will also be reaching out to clients about their vaccination status, because in the first phase of those folks, when we do get a date of return, the first phase will be volunteers who are completely vaccinated and who have clients who are completely vaccinated. So that's the first phase. We're gonna bring people back in phases, and that will be the first phase. So sorry, Ms. Jackson, I don't have a date. Tell Ms. Boy-Tipo we're working on it. We will let you all know soon.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Farley, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I'd like to know about the focus group also. I participated, so I would like to know.
Okay, we'll follow back up with you and Ms. Goodwin.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have questions before we log off, particularly those who are on the phone? If you do have a question, press *6 on your phone to unmute and ask your question.
And don't forget weekly coffee cafes is tomorrow. Need more participants.
There was I'm gonna call people out. There was some folks on this morning asking if Miss Dorothy Jones was on the call yet. Well, she has been on the calls on Friday to talk, and nobody has been joining to talk with her. So y'all call in tomorrow and have all the conversation you want. Miss Watson, did you have a question or comment?
No, I was just about, I didn't make the preach the thing yesterday because I was sick. So I wanted to get, the information.
We will follow, those of you who weren't able to come to the office, we'll be following up with you individually.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Mm-hmm. Everything was great.
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
Okay, Melanie, I have a question. This is Verda.
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed that you said that the dance, what is it? The dance contest ends on May, what was it? Oh,
May 3rd.
Do I have another shot at it?
So the May 3rd deadline, the deadline for May 3rd is the deadline to submit your video. The contest won't be over by then. That's just the deadline to submit your video.
Okay. So I can do my own video?
Yes, you can. You can have multiple entries.
For real?
Yes, there's 4 different categories.
Okay. Well, I want to get my twerking in. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That might be a foul risk, Miss Mabry.
Yeah, it would be a big risk for me. Lord have mercy.
All right, I'm going once. Last opportunity to ask any. Yes.
Haynes, what do we put on our time sheet? How much time we put on our time sheet?
For today, 1.5 hours. But we'll give you guys that anyway, because we've got attendance. We're tracking that. So we'll give you guys, everyone who's been on the call today will get 1.5 hours for training.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, wait, one last update. Well, actually, I'll share that for May. I'll save it for the next time we chat. All right. Any final questions? Going once? Going twice?
Never put off till tomorrow what you can do today.
I think I know that saying, but I think I'm gonna hold off on that one. I think we'll be here another 30 minutes if I do that. So I'm gonna hold off on it.
Praise God.
Well, thank y'all for joining us today. I hope you took something away that will help you stay safer.
Yeah, we did.
Good.
Of
good.
course.
Thank you to our guest speaker for being here and
Yes.
helping
yes.
these
Thank
lovely
you.
ladies.
Thanks again for having me, y'all. Anytime.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, and a special thanks to Miss Rose for the tea cakes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, Miss Rose.
Oh,
Thank you for
yeah.
the tea cake.
Yeah, they were good.
Delicious.
They were good.
Yes, they
They were.
were.
They were.
Thank you for all your help too yesterday
Oh, yes.
and Tuesday.
All right,
All right,
ladies.
ladies.
And our one
Bye-bye.
gentleman, see you later.
All
Y'all
right.
later. Have a
Okay.
good
Bye
day.
bye.
All right, ladies.
Good weekend.
Bye.
Love
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm out. I'm out. Yes.